Okay, start.
Yes, sir.
Well, friends, today I am going to deal with the role or significance of the crowd and mobs in A Tale of Two Cities. As I have given you some materials about the basic definition of both crowd, a collection of many persons, and mob, a large crowd gathered for a particular reason, usually to commit an act of violence, which is unruly in its nature. So you can very easily understand that crowds and mobs are encountered quite a number of times in A Tale of Two Cities. Tale of Two Cities is basically a historical novel about the French Revolution. A very systematic description of the French Revolution, its reasons, its background, the event itself and its aftermath. All these things have been dealt with in great details by the master storyteller that Charles Dickens was. Now, as the title itself suggests, this is a tale of two cities. Two cities meaning London and Paris. This is a tale of two peoples, the English and the French. This is a tale of two mentalities. The English, even though very boisterous in some ways, quite vociferous about its own rights and responsibilities, but always averse to taking up arms to create any disturbance in a large scale, namely such as a revolution. The French, on the other hand, are brooding, are very, very clamorous, who take up arms and ultimately create the large-scale disturbance that we call the French Revolution, that not only led to the overthrow of a corrupt government and political system, but also had very significant ramifications for the whole of Europe. You see, crowds gather in England. For example, you remember the scene at the Old Bailey during the trial of Charles Darnay. Then there is also a procession that is basically nothing more than a crowd for the funeral of a supposedly dead Solomon Frost, and there is also a crowd before the Tellson's Bank. In the pre-revolutionary France, you will see, we see crowds gathering. For example, during the wine spilling episode, there is a crowd. But after that, we will see, and there is also a crowd at the procession, the evening procession, to which the mender of roads is also taken by the three jacks. But then, as the revolution takes place, you remember the burning of the chateau, the storming of the Bastille, the manning of the checkpoints, the mob at the guillotines. All these things, all these events are accompanied with the gathering of large mobs. Now, we all know that a crowd is a collection of persons. So obviously, it has got a very significant power potentiality. It can create, it can destroy. It has got lot of energy. But in the case of a mob, this energy is usually unleashed for destructive reasons. Saurabh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, in the case of the mob, you will see the brutality of the mob, because the mob is unable to think. It is always a prey to passion. And that is why large mobs are very brutal and unthinking in their operation. You will see the mobs, even though they are unthinking and brutal, they can also create histories, as you can very easily understand if you read about the storming of the Bastille, where the governor is killed, the staff is mangled, but many of the prisoners are released. So, actually the role of the crowds and the mobs in A Tale of Two Cities is to unleash the pent-up energies of the populace. In the case of the crowds, it is amoral, it is neutral, but in the case of the mobs, it is always immoral or destructive. So, today I have discussed the role and significance of the crowds and the mobs in A Tale of Two Cities. But this discussion is incomplete. I am deliberately leaving this incomplete because I want you to read your Tale of Two Cities. I would expect, if not all, at least some of you to go through the text and point out, write down the occasions in which you actually come across crowds and other occasions on which you actually come across mobs. And then it will be easier for you if you read those particular episodes or stretches of the book. It will be easier for you to really understand what role is played by the gregarious configurations like the crowds or the mobs. This was for the day. In my next discussion, I may talk about the collective guilt in A Tale of Two Cities and how it is represented. Okay, thank you.